Hello, all YouTube viewers. My name is Dennis Ramsey, world-famous folk artist. I live in Kempfletown, Nova Scotia, Canada. I sell folk art paintings and abstract art paintings. If you're ever in Kempfletown, Nova Scotia, Canada, please look me up. I live at 27 Canaan, C-A-N-A-A-N Avenue, Apartment B, Kempfl, Yellow House, white trim. Call me at 902-365-5044 if you want a folk art painting or an abstract art painting. Today's topic is O.J. Simpson. The question is who killed Nicole Simpson and Ron Goldman? Well, there's 3 or 4 different suspects. As you know, O.J. Simpson was found not guilty of the crimes. At that time, there was a serial killer on the loose. His name was Glenn Rogers. Now, Glenn claims that he killed Nicole and Ron Goldman, but there's no evidence pointing towards his direction. It's all hearsay. So, probably he did not commit the crimes. I think personally it's somebody in her immediate circle of friends or family members. And I think possibly the person that killed Nicole Simpson and Ron Goldman was O.J.'s son. And I'm going to get into that, and I'm going to explain why I think that way. Anyhow, O.J. Simpson and Nicole and his son that lived together for many years, O.J.'s son was always feuding with Nicole. They were always arguing and always fighting over petty things, things that are insignificant. And O.J.'s son, every day when he went out in public, he was always carrying a knife. He always had a knife on him. And if you look back at the evidence in the courtroom, when O.J. Simpson was going to trial, there was a stocking cap, a small black stocking cap, and O.J.'s son always wore one of those. He always carried knives, and it was the same type of knife that killed Nicole and Ron Goldman. Is the same type of knife that O.J.'s son used to carry out in public every day. Anyhow, now let's go back to the evidence here. The gloves did not fit O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson tried them on in the courtroom. I would imagine y'all remember that. They didn't fit. Anyhow, his son had smaller hands than O.J. Those gloves would have fit O.J.'s son. Now, they had 2 different sets of footprints at the crime. And they examined the fingerprints, and they examined the footprints and shoe prints. And they think, the police think, there was 2 people there. Well, that's a possibility. There may have been 2 people there. Could have been O.J. himself and his son. But personally, if I had to stick a finger out and point it in the suspect's direction, I think the person that killed Nicole and Ron Goldman was O.J.'s son. O.J.'s son was mentally sick. Not only mentally sick, he was a bad kid. And he always carried a knife. Nobody carries a knife in public. I don't, and I'm sure all you people out there don't either. Nobody carries a weapon. Anybody out there that carries a gun or a knife or any kind of weapon, more than likely, those people are going to use it. Because most people in society do not carry a knife or a gun or a piece of pipe or whatever. Anyhow, O.J.'s son was always into knives, and the evidence points his way. The stocking cap, the shoe prints, the knives, and I think personally it was O.J.'s son that killed Nicole Simpson and Ron Goldman. That's Dennis Ramsey's opinion. Doesn't mean I'm right, and it doesn't mean I'm wrong. Anyhow, O.J. Simpson, at times, there was domestic violence with him and Nicole Simpson. But, yes, maybe at worst, O.J. beat Nicole. Let's say he did. Maybe 4 or 5 times or several times. But that does not mean that he murdered her. That does not mean that he killed her. Personally, I don't think that O.J. did the stabbings or the killings. That's my opinion. Doesn't mean I'm right, doesn't mean I'm wrong. I think if I had to point a finger at a suspect, I'm going to say it was O.J.'s son that killed Nicole Simpson and Ron Goldman. Anyhow, back at that time, the police work was very sloppy, very sloppy. Because when the police got to the scene and the detectives, they were walking through the blood with their shoes. So it contaminated the evidence that was already present. Anyhow, the killer of Nicole Simpson and Ron Goldman was more likely O.J.'s son. And Glenn Rogers, he was boasting that he killed 70 or 80 people. Anyhow, eventually he was convicted, I think, of 7 murders. So he was just boasting and bragging, but he never really killed that many people. Anyhow, let's say Glenn Rogers did kill Nicole Simpson and Ron Goldman, for argumentative sake. If that's the case, I would have to say that O.J. Simpson hired Glenn Rogers to kill Nicole Simpson and Ron Goldman. It was a contract. He put out a hit on his wife, and it just so happened that Ron Goldman walked into a bad situation. Say Glenn Rogers killed Nicole, cut her up to pieces, butchered her. I wouldn't doubt what happened is Ron Goldman come to the house to see Nicole, and he got caught in a bad situation, and Glenn Rogers stabbed him to death also. Anyhow, if Glenn Rogers committed the murders, more than likely O.J. hired him, because there is a tie there, and I must get into that. Glenn Rogers was doing maintenance on Nicole's house. He was doing some painting and doing some yard work and, a handyman. So it is a possibility where Glenn Rogers was a serial killer to begin with. He might have taken Nicole Simpson down along with Ron Goldman. That is possible. So suspect number 2 would be Glenn Rogers, the serial killer. We know that is a fact. Anyhow, like I said before, the police work was very sloppy, and they contaminated the scene and the evidence. So they did a bad job. Anyhow, they say at the time Nicole Simpson had some shady friends. Now, that could be true and it may not be true. But say she did. They say that she took drugs and was around a lot of bad characters. That's another possibility. One of her shady drug-induced dope fiends might have killed her also. That's another possibility. Can't eliminate that, that's a possibility. Anyhow, as far as the suspect list, it's very few and far between. I think whoever killed Nicole Simpson and Ron Goldman, it was either O.J. son, or it was Glenn Rogers, or it was a shady dope fiend from Nicole Simpson's world of drugs. Now, personally, it could be a possibility that O.J. Simpson hired Glenn Rogers to kill Nicole, and Ron Goldman got caught in crossfire, and he was murdered also. Anyhow, it's an interesting case, but it's unsolved. It's unsolved. And I think that it has to be somebody that was either a friend of Nicole's or a family member. So we can eliminate the suspects to a family member or a friend or an associate. Now, which it is, who knows? But I'm going to take a wild guess. I think it's O.J.'s son that killed Nicole Simpson and Ron Goldman. That's Dennis Ramsey's opinion. And if you look into it a little further, I think you'll find him right. Also, the second suspect was Glenn Rogers, the serial killer. We know for a fact that he killed a few people before he even got to Nicole's house to do all the handyman work. We know that is a fact. So, where he's killed before, it's a strong possibility that he robbed Nicole, took some of her jewelry. We also know that is a fact. Jewelry was missing. So Glenn Rogers might have murdered Nicole and Ron Goldman for money and property. That's another possibility. But as the suspect list, there's only 3 people. It has to be one or the other. Okay, O.J. Simpson hired somebody to kill Nicole and Ron Goldman, or it's the son of O.J. Simpson and Nicole that murdered Nicole and Ron Goldman, or third suspect is the last we got, and that's Glenn Rogers. So which is it? That's the question. Personally, it has to be one of 3. Either O.J. Simpson hired Glenn Rogers to kill Nicole and Ron Goldman, or the son of O.J. and Nicole murdered his mother, Nicole, and like I said before, Ron Goldman got caught in the crossfire and got murdered also. Anyhow, personally, what I think the whole situation is, either O.J. hired Glenn Rogers to kill Nicole and Ron Goldman, or it was O.J.'s son that murdered Nicole and Ron Goldman, and thirdly, the instigator, more likely, hired Glenn Rogers to kill Nicole, and Ron Goldman was in the picture and got murdered also in the crossfire. So, suspect list is short but sweet. It's either O.J.'s son, or it's Glenn Rogers, the serial killer, that's a known fact, or O.J. hired somebody to kill Nicole and Ron Goldman. Now, you can pick which one you like the best. Makes no difference to me. But that's Dennis Ramsey's opinion. It could be also a case of robbery. Somebody knew Nicole had a lot of money and jewelry and property and robbed her and killed her. But personally, I think that O.J. Simpson hired Glenn Rogers to murder her, and for so much money, God knows how much money. And anyhow, Glenn Rogers is on death row in Florida. He's on death row. So the detectives and the authorities should be going to see him, to see if he was the one that actually killed Nicole and Ron Goldman, so the family can get closure and rest in peace. Anyhow, it could be O.J.'s son. I'm thinking, realistically, it was O.J.'s son that murdered Nicole, because they were always beefing, always arguing. They didn't get along. O.J.'s son always carried knives. Some of the evidence was there, the stocking cap. The gloves were too big for, they wouldn't have fit O.J. Simpson. They were too small, pardon me. Let me rephrase that. The gloves were too small for O.J., so the hand was smaller. Now, I think O.J.'s son had smaller hands. But Glenn Rogers was not a big man neither. His hands were quite small, so those gloves could have fit him also. Anyhow, rehash from the whole mess up. I think it was either Nicole Simpson's son that murdered Nicole and Ron Goldman. That's number 1 suspect, O.J.'s son. Or O.J. Simpson hired Glenn Rogers to kill Nicole and Ron Goldman. That's my opinion. Anyhow, please subscribe to all my YouTube videos on the YouTube channel. There's folk art videos, talking videos, and singing videos. You have a nice day. Come by my folk art in 2018. I live in Kempful Town, Nova Scotia, Canada. Have a nice day. Bye for now.